Hi, welcome back to the Traffic Syndicate interview series. I'm Mike Filsame, and on behalf of Jesse Dobeck and Groove, we're excited for our next interview. You're about to meet Greg Todd. Greg started out as a person that didn't think he was ever going to be an entrepreneur. He first started out with physical therapy, realized that everything he thought he wanted, he didn't. He left a job that was taking him 70 hours a week. They wouldn't even give him a day off. He finally says, that's it, I'm done. He goes on to a new journey that you're going to find out about. And he does it by mastering social media with free traffic, not just YouTube, but YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. He even talked about back in the day when he was using Periscope. This is a fantastic interview. If you're interested in learning about someone that had success without buying traffic, but using social media to engage people, this is the interview for you. Let's jump right in with Greg Todd. All right, Greg, thank you so much for joining us today. I'm going to jump right in with the first question. Tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, you graduate high school and, where do you go into the world from there?
Yeah, so I graduated high school. I went to physical therapy school, became a licensed physical therapist 5 years after finishing college. And about 4 years into it, I realized that this might not be what I signed up for. I was trading a lot of my time for a little bit of somebody else's money. I wasn't progressing in my career in the way that I thought I was. So I felt like I needed to make a change.
And, Greg, what you experienced is very, very common. My partner in Groove, Donna Fox, wanted to be an attorney. Went to school to become an attorney. Within 3 months of being an attorney, she was like, do I really want to do this for the rest of my life? And as you said, trading your time for money. How did you first, there had to be something about going into that field. Did you like the idea of sports therapy or physical therapy or helping people? Like, what led you there in the first place?
Yeah, I mean, I really liked the idea that I was going to be in demand. So when I was looking at all the different avenues I could go, pharmacist, physician, this, that, nurse, occupational therapist, physical therapy was one of the jobs that was going to be constantly in demand. So I knew that I could get a job. And so I thought that was good. Number two is I felt like, I could earn a decent living. So back then, this is in 2000, I could make 40K, 50K, 60K a year. And at that time, I was like, okay, this is going to be good enough. And I loved sports. And so I felt like this would be cool. I get to work with athletes. I get to work with, normal people and just, help them and talk and just kind of, enjoy all those things. And that was great until life actually hits. All those things I was thinking, no wife, no kids, no other responsibilities, no school debt. And you start to realize that the amount that you're going to make and the way that you're going to make it is not adding up.
Yeah. And, it seems, you went the educational route, which is very, very good. You went very, very traditional. It seems that you had a subconscious itch to be an entrepreneur and you didn't quite realize that you were strategically thinking ahead. I want to do this. I want to go into something where there's going to be business and work with people in the sports industry. It was a little entrepreneurial. I don't think you quite realized it until you were fully baked in.
Right. It's funny because my older brother was always the entrepreneur of the family. He was the one that always was hustling, trying to find this, find that. And even when he went to college, he owned a nightclub business. And I was always the one that I thought that there was no way I was going to be an entrepreneur. So I still call myself to this day the anti-entrepreneur, right? I got into this truly because the path that I thought I needed to take to get the life that I want, I realized pretty quickly this was not going to be it. And so, yeah, maybe as we look back at it, you're right. Maybe I did have kind of this entrepreneurial, spirit, but I was afraid of risk. Mm. I was totally cool with working really hard for somebody else, as long as that company or that group could give me the life that I wanted. And unfortunately, with the companies I was working for, that wasn't going to happen.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. Whether there's this gene. I talk about it with some of my friends sometimes about is there an entrepreneurial gene? Because you know not everybody has success with entrepreneur, and there's
Mhm.
such risk involved. And even when you make money, man, I've known so many entrepreneurs that make money, lose it, make money, lose it, make money. So, it's tough. And then sometimes, I look, certain videos I'll watch, and I find out that somebody working for the state is making 230,000 a year, and their husband also is a sheriff making 220,000 a year. And I'm like, wow, you know, these people are getting health benefits, pensions, and everything like that. And I could definitely see that there are some people that are like, hey, I want that safe and secure path. I'm going to go in 20 years, get my pension, maybe get another job. And then there's that entrepreneur that's like, no, I'm putting it all on a credit card, and if I lose it, I'm going to figure it out. So
Right.
there's definitely that too. I think you got a little bit of both in you from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, I probably do. But here's the reality though, Mike. I think there's a lot of people and there's not as many jobs today that give you the opportunity to have the 200K and a pension. If that was the norm, like what it was when I was in elementary school, middle school, high school, maybe I would not have gone in this direction. But things have changed a lot. And the reality is that the majority of jobs, there really isn't a path to financial freedom uh, through those jobs. And you're working just as hard.
Yeah,
And,
I agree with
you
you.
know, yeah.
You
So,
got to get lucky to get into those high government positions. Like you
yeah,
start out at 28,000 a year, right?
right.
You're not going to get there until the end of your career. So yeah,
And the upside is what you just said. And so the upside is like, okay, you could have that 250K per year job. You could have the 401K. You could have the benefits. You could have the pension. But I also know what the upside has been for me so far as an entrepreneur. And it hasn't always been pretty, but the times that it has been, it's been much more than that. So it's just a risk that I'm willing to take.
yeah. So let's see. So you now get into physical therapy. Um, walk us through what happened. This turning point, this inflection point where you're like, this isn't for me. How did you take that brave step or leap to go and say, I'm going to actually create an information business, and talk us through, like, did somebody recommend that you go get .com secrets or this book, or did you meet somebody at an event or a seminar? I'm curious how that happened.
Yeah, so I'm going to step back just a little bit because something happened before I went into the digital world. And this happened in early 2005. So it's early 2005. I'm a staff therapist for a company. I'm working my tail off. I'm actually a clinic director for this physical therapy clinic. And my wife and I were having some problems. And our problems were just for the fact that I was just absent. I was working 80, 85 hours a week. I was working that job. I was also working with professional tennis players privately on a tennis tour. And she was just frustrated. She was pregnant with our second child. She was like, I'm not going to continue to do this and have you absent in our family's life. And so I went to my boss and told my boss, hey, here's the deal. I don't mind that you guys pay me 40 hours a week salary. I know right now I'm giving you guys about 70-ish hours a week. What I need one day off a week. I'm willing to work 12 to 14-hour days.
Not a lot to ask for.
It's really, I didn't think it was much to ask for. And my boss said, Greg, and by the way, Mike, I took that clinic from a brand new startup clinic. They wanted me to see 19 patients on average per day. By the end of the first year, I saw 27 patients per day at that clinic. And they said, no, I can't get that one day off. The next day I went in, gave them my resignation letter. I had no job, nothing, set up. So I had a year non-compete with them. I went and I worked for another company. I ended up partnering with that company and we started physical therapy clinics. So we started that from 2005 to 2015. Over that time, I was able to build a $1 million set of clinics. And so throughout that time, I had lots of employees that were working with me, being mentored under me. They were obviously helping to take care of the practices. And those employees told me, Greg, you really need to help more people because we're struggling right now in the physical therapy profession. We're struggling at school. And they were working with me part-time while they were going to school. And they were like, Greg, people don't see a way out. And what has changed since you went to school back in the late 90s is that the debt is now on average $180,000 to $250,000 a year. And so can you teach them what you have learned that's allowed you to basically create millions through the practice? And that's kind of how the whole digital marketing thing started, because I said to my staff, hey, just tell your classmates to just come to the clinic. And they're like, Greg, they're all over the country. They can't come to the clinic.
Yeah.
And they said, why don't you just do a video?
They were busy like you doing 27 patients a day. So
exactly. And so they said, well, why don't we just do a video? And so one of them got out their phone and recorded a video of me in one of my clinics, said, should you become a physical therapist? And I did the video and I just said what I needed to say. And that video ended up gaining traction on YouTube. And then people asked if I'd put out another video, put out another video, put out another video. And that's what started this transition from just doing clinics to helping people and serving people through digital, the digital medium.
All right, I want to unpack some of that and make some comments on some of that stuff. Number one, you asked for a day off and you were told no.
Yep.
Greg, I don't know if you know my background. I was in the car business before I got involved in here. I graduated in 1985, went to school for a couple of years, got in the car business in 1990. I got out in August 2004. The car business, 70 hours a week, 28 days a month. You're leaving at 6 o'clock because it's your time off. Where are you going? It's date night with my wife. Showroom's busy. You're staying here. I'm leaving. You leave and you don't have a job in the morning. Put your backpack back down and you go to work. Like I lived like that, and people just don't appreciate you. And I'll tell you, this is your interview, not mine. But when it came to that point where I got the ultimatum, they said, because they found out that I had a digital marketing business, they probably thought I was on eBay making $80 a week or something like that. I was actually making about $5,000 a month. Actually, I was making about $12,000 a month, and I'm running a car dealership. So the owner of the 15 stores comes into the store to make a point out of me. And he basically says, we get into a big blowout, he's like, I want to know, are you in it for us or this, that? And I finally, the ultimatum, I said, are you saying that I have to quit that or quit this? It's one or the other. And he's like, yeah, I want an answer right now. Oh. And I just said, hey, it's been a great 5 years. And he said, give me the keys to your demo, give me the keys to the safe, and give me the keys to the front door. He got on his phone. He says, Tommy, you're the new general manager at Millennium Hyundai. And the whole showroom salespeople said, what just happened? And I just grabbed what remainder I had of my keys. I went outside, called my wife. I'm crying hysterically. Just come pick me up. What happened? Just come pick me up. I don't want to explain it. I don't want to relive it. Everybody comes out and they say, Mike, don't you know how John gets? Don't worry. Just, come back tomorrow. And I'm crying. I'm like, going, one of these. And I said, you don't know. F this place. F this. F that. I am done. I'm never looking. Mike, you're talking silly. I said, no, you don't know what I know. There's a whole nother world out there. And that I kind of got kicked out of the nest. And that was my turning point. Wow. And so when you told me that story, it meant so much that you were able to, say, if you're not going to do that for me, I'm going to take a leap. And you didn't have your next opportunity. You had to make a very bold decision. So that was a great story. Thanks for sharing.
Oh my gosh. And I'd love to hear yours. It's, you know what, if you talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, that's our story, and that's why I think we're talking about this, before is there an entrepreneurial gene? I mean, for me, I don't believe that's the case. I believe there's desperation and we had to make it work.
Yeah.
and you had a, they say BCD, right? It's you've got birth, you've got death, and in between you just have the C, the choices, right? You had to make that choice in that showroom that night. I had to make the choice when he said, no, you're not going to get off a day a week. And you just make the choice. And in the choice, it could have blown up in our face, but it didn't. And there was another world out there. and
Yeah.
we got access to it.
And it's interesting because like it's kind of like a trifecta for you. First, you got this thing where you're working for someone, and then you actually go out and create a business that opens up many of these different clinics. And from there, I remember asking one of my owners in the car business. I said, hey, you have 5-town Toyota. Why don't you open up? Why don't you buy another Toyota store? He says, hey, you don't know what it's like just to open one. And in my mind, I was like, own 15 dealerships. And, he told me how difficult that was. So you had to learn what happens in franchises, the standard operating procedures, systemizing everything. And then by putting that in, I think that was a blessing in disguise for you because you started realizing what it takes to replicate a system that you could now go out and teach people.
Yeah. It's so crazy. Every single thing that I did was just to make my life easier within the clinics. I would record all the videos that were needed for you, a therapist, to come in and, hey, this is how you evaluate a patient. Hey, this is how you treat a patient. Hey, this is how you do the laundry. Hey, this is how you answer the phone. This is how you do this. This is how you do that. And that process over about 10 years is actually what created the transition into me being successful in the digital game.
Greg, as you got into the digital game, what I've noticed, over the years is most of us are not jack of all trades, master of none. Most of us are really good at one thing. The last person I just spoke to was the LinkedIn guy. He's like, I do everything through LinkedIn. Some people are Facebook. Some people are, do it different ways. What was it for you? I know you mentioned putting some videos out on YouTube. Was that one of them, or was there a few different things combined that made people start finding you?
Yeah, for me, I think I'm more the jack of all trades guy. It wasn't just YouTube. When I started in 2015, I like to tell you how this actually got started. I hosted my 20-year high school reunion.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I was the host of it, and not everybody could come to it. So we probably had like 120, 130 people come, which is a great turnout. But there were some people that said, I want to be there, but I can't be there. Is there any way that you could live stream it? I'm like, what is a live stream? And this is in 2015, right? And they said, there's this thing called Periscope. And you could like get your phone and show like all of us that can't be there, like, and just have everybody come up to the phone and introduce themselves and we can see them and whatnot. So I said, okay, all right, I'll look into it. So I looked into it and I used that for the high school reunion. Well, that is how I found out about Periscope. And that's the way that I started to serve physical therapists in school, was through Periscope, but it was only because I did my high school reunion.
Yeah.
So that was how I got started in kind of all of it. And Periscope was the first platform that I went on. And then from Periscope, it kind of died off after about 8 months, a year, and Facebook Live started to become a bigger thing.
Yeah.
And so I went on to Facebook Live. So my audience was primarily Periscope / Twitter, now X. And then it was Facebook. And then I had an audience over here on YouTube. And so I had to learn all the platforms. To me, I want traffic. I was able to grow my business to a 7-figure business with very little to no advertising. And it's just because I decided to learn the platforms.
So you were learning,
and that was it.
Social media platforms, and getting the algorithms to serve you is basically what you were doing, and finding ways to engage.
Yeah, and I found a niche market. It was healthcare providers, primarily physical therapists, and I just knew that these were the places that they were on. They were on Facebook at one time. They were on Periscope. They were on Twitter, and back then there was some of them on YouTube as well. Mm-hmm. And what I would do is anyone that I found, the bigger platforms they were on was Twitter and Facebook. And when someone found me on Twitter and Facebook, as I was compiling videos on YouTube, I told them go to YouTube, which allowed them to binge on my content. And I knew that if they binged on my content over a weekend, a lot of them would become a customer.
Yeah. So you were doing content marketing, and you bring up a good point. Go where the customers are. For some people, depending on their product, most likely a younger audience, but it really doesn't matter. It could be TikTok. right? But
Right.
more than likely, your folks weren't as much on TikTok. So you got to find where those people are and serve them
Right.
with content.
Right. Yeah.
Quick little point there. I was actually doing a little bit of math, and I was like, no, can't be, can't be. You had spoken about the 20-year high school reunion. My last one I went to was in 1995 for my 10-year reunion, and I was literally doing this with my fingers. No way, 40-year reunion coming up next year.
Oh,
If they even have
wow.
one.
Wow, 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 wow,
I can't believe it.
wow.
What
That's
does that
awesome.
say? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be 57.
Oh,
So,
wow. That's awesome.
question for you, Greg. How'd you meet Jesse?
So as I was really getting into this digital game, the first course that I put out was March 29th of 2016. I thought at that time a bunch of people were going to buy it, and only one person bought it when I released it. And it took me 2 months to get 9 more people into it. And so I realized that, wow, this is a lot of work. And I had served people for a year for free. I'm like, man, I got to figure out how to launch this stuff better. So I ended up taking a program called Marketing Impact Academy through a lady named Shalene Johnson.
Oh, yeah.
Jesse was speaking at Shalene Johnson's event. And so Jesse was a speaker because one of the speakers, something happened. But anyways, Jesse became a speaker, and Jesse talked about what he was doing at that time with Facebook and with groups, and kind of his hack for collaborating groups together, and being able to basically hack the algorithm. So I met him in 2000. This is 2016, and our relationship kind of took off from there. But he was extremely beneficial and gave a lot of value at the event. And after he finished speaking, we just sat down and talked for a while, and we've stayed friends for years.
Yeah, we've been. So we started working with Jesse and Jason about 6 months ago to run our ads,
Okay.
and Jesse said to me, "Hey, Mike, this what we're doing was his brainchild.
Right.
I came up with the name. The Syndicate is something that's near and dear to me because I was a member of this quote unquote secret society called the
Right.
Syndicate back in 2007. From 2007 to 2014, I was with 16 of the top marketers in the world. It was me, Andy Jenkins, who passed away, Frank Kern, Ryan Dice, Perry Belcher. We had Jeff Walker from Product Launch Formula, Evan Pagan, Brendan Bouchard, and we were these guys that kind of, scheduled our launches out, around, and then we promoted for each other, and then we would say, hey, here's what worked. I just tried this new method, and then here's what tanked. Oh, that didn't work. So people were seeing us do things, what worked, what didn't work, and we were just rising to the top there. And so when I wanted to do something, I said, hey, that syndicate mastermind meant a lot to me, so I'm going to create the traffic syndicate. So that's where that name came from. And now that I've met Jesse working with him, this guy's one of the most I know a lot of people, nothing like that. Every single day, he's blowing up my phone. I literally said to him, I said, look, I know you could get 50 interviews in a week, but I cannot handle it. So he's putting me on with some of his best and brightest friends.
Yeah, he's pretty well connected. He's pretty well connected. Yeah.
Yeah. And he knows his stuff. So I've got 2 more questions for you, Greg. The first one out of the 2 is, talk to me about, you went through the 70 hours a week, asking for a day off, couldn't get it. You're a blessed person. You're surrounded in an industry with blessed people and a lot of people that are struggling. The first part of the question is, how does it feel to wake up every day and, have that quote unquote American dream? What is it like now? I don't know how things worked out for your wife when you said things were tough, but what's life like today?
Yeah, well, we're still together.
Thank
20,
God. Yeah.
23 years of marriage. We're going to be celebrating in next month. What's so crazy? As soon as I finish this interview, I'm going home. We're packing up our bags and we're heading to our cabin in Blue Ridge, Georgia. Just my wife and I for 6 days. And we're able to do that every 8 weeks. So we have 4 kids. 3 of them are now homeschooled. One is away at college. We can basically do what we want, when we want, with who we want, whenever we want. Now, I still work hard. I'm an entrepreneur. There's a lot of risk involved, but I basically got the thing that I wanted. I wanted the Wednesday off every week. And today it's Thursday and half day on Friday. But also I can take off whenever I want. I can basically do what I want as long as I bring enough value to the marketplace and serve people in a way that makes them find me valuable and my services valuable, and they pay me money for it. And so my wife forced me to play the time game in 2005. And what I didn't know at that time is I didn't realize that if I played a game, that's the only way I can win. So I played the time game and now I've got the time. Here's what I didn't understand back then is that if you play the time game and you happen to win it, you're probably going to win the money game as well. And I believe that most people are trying to play the money game, which is fine. But if you win the money game, that does not mean you're going to get the time. And so that's the big lesson that I've learned. My life is infinitely better than what it was during that time, during our tumultuous time in our relationship. But it didn't come without a lot of risk and a lot of learned skills and, everything in between. So,
yeah, I get, I'm a sappy guy. I get, just hearing you say that, and, fortunate enough that we're doing this interview literally the day before you take that break with the camper and going out to Georgia. And by the way, thank you so much for taking the time. Look, we're all busy. And I know sometimes just finding an hour on the schedule is tough. So I really, really appreciate that. But it literally gave me that little warm and fuzzy goosebumps when you said that you're going to be taking that time, just because I just had the contrast of what it was like when you asked for a day off once a week. So I've got one more question for you. If there's someone to the person right now, look, I'm looking direct at the camera to that person right now. And I'm going to ask you to talk to them because you know about turning points in your life where you had to take that risk and shake someone's hand and say goodbye. And I had to do the same thing. The only thing we're asking these people is they've got two choices: either close this tab after they're done with this interview or hit that button and register for a free web class. In full transparency, we're going to be giving a training with Jesse and I on traffic, but we're also going to be letting them know about the Traffic Syndicate, and how they can join it. What would you tell that person if they were thinking about passing on clicking that button?
Yeah, so here's what I would tell you. I would tell you to understand that wherever you're at, to whatever you want to be, the only thing that's in the middle that's holding you back is time. That's it. It's just time. Okay? Whatever you want is pretty much already there. You just don't have it. Okay? Whether that is you don't have the time with your spouse, you don't have the time for yourself, you don't have the time to take care of yourself mentally, physically, you're broke, whatever it is, the only thing that's in the way from you getting that is time. So here's what I can say. I can say, just because, Mike, I've known about you for many years and the amazing things that you've done in the internet marketing game, I can personally attest to what Jesse has done and helped me with. I would say that these guys have the method and they know what they're talking about. Okay? With regards to teaching you this skill set that they understand. And I'm assuming it's primarily on how to get more traffic and all those other stuff. Okay? So the method, they got that. All right? But here's what only you can answer is, do you have the motivation? And when I say the motivation, do you have a desire to go from where you're at right now to the thing that you want? How bad do you want it? Like, how bad do you want it? Because what I can tell you that I wish somebody would have told me 18 years ago is that the only way to get there is by learning something, and developing yourself into someone that you currently aren't right now.
Well said.
If you click that button, it's going to start you or continue on that journey. What I can't answer for you is how bad do you want it? Okay. When you want it bad, you'll quit the job like what I did. You'll quit the job, have no job as a backup because I knew that I did not want that. Okay? But if you don't want it, then don't click it.
Don't click it. That's simple.
Don't click it. You know? So that's what I would tell.
Todd, I appreciate you taking the time. I got to let you go. I heard you when we were getting on saying, hey, I got to do this quick little podcast. I know it's, what do you say? Half day Thursday or something like that. And then you're off on Friday. I want to let you get right to that. Again, big thank you. Can't wait to connect in person. Maybe we'll get you to come to one of the Traffic Syndicate masterminds that we do.
I would love it.
Every, we're actually doing one for my collective mastermind this Friday. So they're every February, every June, and every October. So I'm looking forward to connecting more with you, my friend.
Oh, I would love to. I would love to.
All right, man. Thanks. We'll talk to you soon. Wow, what a great interview with Greg. So what do you do next? If you want to become like Greg or get notified on more of our Traffic Syndicate interview series, all you simply need to do is click the button below this video. It'll open up a little pop-up for you to register for a free training web class that I'm going to be doing with Jesse Dobeck. You're going to learn everything about the Traffic Syndicate, and you're going to learn some free training as well on getting traffic to your website. All of the dates and times are below. So you have a choice. As Greg said, it's about how bad you want it. You can either close this tab, or maybe some of you did, or you can go on the journey with the right people. I love what he said. He said, what you want is already there. The only difference is what's in between and what you do with it. Click that button and we'll see you on the live webinar.